Nuclear fusion. Right, you need to know the difference between nuclear fusion and nuclear fission. In nuclear fusion, you join together the nuclei. In nuclear fission, you are splitting. Make sure you know that. Fusion's got one S, fission has got two S's, and is spelt with an I. F-I-S-S-I-O-N, fusion F-U-S-I-O-N. In fusion, two nuclei join together to make a larger nucleus. You need high speed and energy for this to happen. The reason why is the nucleus is positively charged. And when you bring positively charged particles together, they repel. By having them fly at each other at high speed or high energy, you can actually cause them to fuse together, to join together to make a bigger nucleus. And the temperatures are only really hot enough inside the core of a sun or inside nuclear weapons. When you actually cause these these nuclei to join together, it releases a lot of energy. In fact, more energy is released than the energy you need in order to make them collide in the first place. You need to know this process. This is how the sun works. You have a proton and another proton, or two hydrogen nuclei. You have high temperatures, and that causes them to collide together. And when that happens, in stage one of the protons then turns into a neutron. You then add another proton, and you form, this time you make helium, and this has got a formula of 3He2. 3 at the top, 2 at the bottom, He in the middle, and you can see you've got a form of helium there because it's got two protons. You then combine another one of these heliums to that helium, and now you form another isotope of helium which has got two protons and two neutrons. So this is 4He2, 4,2He, and obviously you've got two spare protons to go out, and then they start a process all over again. So you can see there's three stages to it there, and you are changing hydrogen into helium, and each of those processes releases a huge amount of energy which we can feel at this distance. So stars release their energy by nuclear fusion, and mainly it's from combining hydrogen and hydrogen to make helium, but also helium and helium will combine to make heavier nuclei and so forth. In fact, all the elements up to iron are formed by the fusion of lighter elements. Right, is it a possible future energy source? Well, we've only managed to do it so far in terms of hydrogen bombs. When we've formed certain types of nuclear weapon, they release huge amounts of energy. We found it very difficult to do fusion in a controlled environment, and so far the only way we've been able to do it, we've had to use so much energy that the amount of energy we get coming out of it is less than energy we put in, which defeats the purpose of fusion. Fission, unfortunately, has hazardous end products. The products made as a result of a nuclear reaction tend to be quite hazardous and dangerous, and we have to store them for long periods of time. Whereas in fusion, what actually happens is the end product is helium, which is quite a useful gas to us to use in several things, but there's no danger to it. With fission, though, we have the technology. We know it works. We can do that. At the moment, we don't have the technology to be able to harness it economically. The fuel for fission is uranium or plutonium, and they're tricky substances. And one of the problems is, first of all, they're only found in certain parts of the world, and that some of those parts of the world are politically quite difficult to get the stuff out of. So that's a problem. And of course, one of the products of fission is you make plutonium, which can be used for bombs. So people tend to be a bit worried about this. Whereas the ingredients for fusion is hydrogen, which you get from water. You produce lots of energy, but you don't produce anywhere near as much as fusion, and fusion actually produces a lot more energy. Keywords here is you need to know the difference between fusion and fission. Make sure you know the differences. That's a common exam question. Nuclei is the plural of nucleus. You need to know that in fusion, hydrogen is turned to helium. And you need to know that you need lots of energy in order for it to happen. And that there is a video on fusion.